Buenas. Hey folks, I'm doing a video inside today with hoping this is going to be my new working rig. There are various little green lights on. I think they more or less telling me this is okay. A little bit of an experiment because it's a bit too windy at the moment to go outside, and I got some compliments about the inside of this rather strange little place I'm living in at the moment in Spain. You might not see that much. I'm experimenting with being, professorial, sitting in my chair here. See how it goes. Thanks to a couple of new subscribers. I think the History Shelf was very kind to subscribe today. I appreciate that. That's very lovely. I think I'm about 51, 52 or something like that, and it's been about a year. I think I've been into this. I might do a more kind of audity one in a couple of days. But I have finished a couple of books. It's I'm hunkering down for the winter now, to be honest with you, after a very expensive but kind of fun trip back to the UK where I had some progress with the eye and the dental and all, various other things. And wondering if there's a better way to kind of do this microphone. Let me try it down here. Do I see? Let's try this. Might be a bit more natural. See how that works. Okay, and so I don't think I'm going to be able to afford to go back for Christmas, and Christmas is a bit strange in my world at the moment anyway, and I might just kind of hunker down here on the hillside, which gives me I have a number of projects. I have my bass project, I have my Spanish project, I have my generally trying to be fitter, and I really do need to get back to the healthcare and the weight loss stuff. That's just been thrown out the window really since the diagnosis about my macular hole, kind of the end of March, and moving and all sorts, and I've not really got back in the rhythm on that, and that isn't great. But it can be done. It shall be done. And it might be a little bit lonely, to be honest with you. I don't think I've really got a drinking companion in the village, because the one guy I kind of hinted we could sort of do that. He wasn't really very keen. So okay, fine. So it might be a little bit quiet. It might be so. That's I think it could be a good period next few weeks because work will kind of die mid-month, really, like it or not, and then it'll be kind of getting into the sort of compulsory 2-week break, even if you don't want it, right, in British business. So that could be a good time for get working through the TBRP. I've got a couple of books I really want to read, so that's all good. And so to today's review, I bought. To be honest with you, it's not from the pile, as we say. That's always very naughty. But I've been meaning to read this for a long time, and when I was over in the UK, I thought, why not? Really, it's Norman Mailer's, I think, last published work, Castle in the Forest, and from 2007. And very flattering picture of old Norman on the back there, looking, I think, taking his 30s, 40s, and he was quite old by the time he popped off, bless him. 5-star review, because I know some people have told me they want that 5-star review very early on, and they can decide whether or not they will pursue the rest of the video. I'm going to say 5 out of 5 without question, really, with a couple of caveats. I think I'll probably keep this because I do think it would be a book I'd want to reread or perhaps dip into. Now, I've had a long relationship with Norman, mostly positive, I suppose. I've not read all of his stuff, but I have read surprisingly quite a lot of it. I had a big teenage kind of obsession with him, really. And that was quite intense. I hoovered up an awful lot of his stuff. I started with Naked and the Dead, which is the best place to start, I suppose, which is very uncharacteristic, really, of the rest of his work. I absolutely loved it. I suppose I saw it primarily as a war story, but I did immediately clock he was doing a lot more than that with the kind of the Dos Passos structure, and there were bigger themes in there. The kind of the general, what he was about, what the sergeant was all about. Some definitely stuff going on there about masculinity and death and all those kind of great stuff. But as an adventure book, as a war book, brilliantly written. I read a lot of the non-fiction then, and I kind of went back and it was all out in. I can't remember who was printing it at the time in the UK, but there was a whole bunch of them. And Barbary Shore, which even he regarded as a bit of a failure, I got through that. The Deer Park, okay. But then primarily the non-fiction was what it was for me. I thought he was really interesting writer about books, about writing, about society. I love the kind of non-fiction novel stuff. The reportage book was excellent. Armies of the Night might have been a bit later. I didn't finish of A Fire on the Moon, which was out of print, but I do have a copy. It was fine, but the fight is great. Okay, all this kind of stuff, and then the novels. The American Dream, which I remember discussing at one of my university entrance interviews, is it a joke? It's kind of a joke in some ways. I know he didn't think it was a joke when he wrote it. It is very OTT, but there's some great bits in it. There's the opening paragraph is really good. There is some really interesting stuff there about. I think the whole sequence where going around the edge of the penthouse is pretty good. There's some interesting stuff in there, but not fantastically good. But then I read. It was actually bought for me. It was a lovely present for because I helped produce this version of Macbeth, kind of in the between sixth form and university, and they all bought me the Executioner song, and that blew me away. And I thought that was excellent, excellent, excellent stuff. Really, really good. First off, probably a little bit better than the second part, but the first part, the Gary chapter, Gary Chunk, I thought it was absolutely excellent. And then the Nicole stuff was pretty good as well. And I don't think it sort of slightly fizzled out a little bit, kind of thing. But ultimately, I think it was a really, really good book. And then long gap where I kind of forgot about him. And then on my friend Chris's recommendation, I think I read Harlot's Ghost, which I thought again was absolutely brilliant. I thought really, 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 really good. Why Are We in Vietnam? I thought was an excellent book as well. I must have read that between the two. Maybe I read that before university. Harlot's Ghost. I was very disappointed he never got round to writing some sequels to that. I mean, that would have been. I would have carried on with that unquestionably. I thought it was excellent, excellent book. Didn't read the Egyptian thing. Didn't read Ancient Evenings. Didn't particularly. A good friend with great taste. She really liked that. I didn't feel particularly appealed to it. I would now go back to it actually, because all in all, yes, there's. I read a critical study of Mailer years back that said there are certain, he's got his themes and you can see them coming, kind of thing. And to his credit, these are things that he once he discovered them, they became important to me. He wrestled with them for the rest of his life. I mean, that was decades of writing. Because basically, he sees the universe as a contest between the god and the devil, and we have an existential opportunity here between the two of them. It's an ongoing contest, and sometimes that's quite present in the writing. Sometimes that's very subtle. This one, it's that is the story really. Well, the story is the story of Adolf, and I thought the first little section of it, I thought, this is just a story about rutting. This is just a story about peasants, may or may not have been having incestuous relationships. I thought, didn't they think about anything else, Norman, mate? Didn't they sort of worry about the weather or, the farming? But I think that was a technique he was using, kind of thing. But after that, you do absolutely feel there's two levels, right? There's the eschatology, there's the philosophy, spiritualism, ethics, the God versus the devil stuff, but there's also it's told from the point of view of a demon, which it sounds ridiculous, but actually he pulls it off, I think, really, really well. There's that going on, but really, you are absolutely in the heads and the lives of these Austrian, slightly more than peasants. Some of the characters are definitely peasants, but I mean, a bit more than that. And I think he does a tremendous job in terms of description of that life. You really do feel there of the time and in that place, but you can tell these other kind of drivers are going on. And you know the bigger story. There's a great bit where he dips out and he goes to the coronation of Tsar Nicholas II, which was marred by events I didn't know anything about, and I thought that was really interesting and pull that well together. And you get this personality of Adolf Addy developing, and it's not as simple minded as saying this is the reason why he became what he became. But there's it's interesting, suggestive. Seems to be based on pages and pages of serious books, including lots of Nietzsche, and some of many titles of which I in the history and the Hitler studies I recognise, and so fine. So he did his research. He was always very good at his research. I remember in this critical study, which was I think a Fontana Modern Master. They were a great series. I read some cracking ones of those. I read a great Heidegger one. I read a great Mailer one. I think there was a great Adorno one I read as well. That was a really, really clever series. Certainly did a lot for me in terms of opening my eyes to the intellectual world. But anyway, I remember in that critique, the guy said, whatever else he's a very good scholar. He's a very, very good researcher. Actually, his degree was aeronautical engineering, and so there's a science guy in there, and definitely some beautiful, not over the top writing, not literary, very clear, very story moves along well. These people feel like real people, both men and women and boys and girls, and the supernatural character as well. That's done very, very well. So all in all, I think a tremendous book, a really, really, really good book. Um, a lot of fun, gripping, interesting topic, done very well. Interesting philosophy. All in all, a terrific book. Really, really glad I read it. I think it would be something I want to go back to. I don't think I've. Would I reread Harlot's Ghost? Um, I think there's some tremendous, tremendous stuff in there. I think I probably should give Ancient Evenings a go now. I don't think there's any other fiction. Tough Guys Don't Dance. That was not. Oh lordy me, that wasn't brilliant. A little bit like American Dream, a little bit OTT, and I think I'm glad to see that he curbed some of his excesses towards the end. So really enjoyed that, really good. Yes, it's another Hitler book, ooh, but I think it is very well done. I think it's well worth reading. If you've got any interest in that side of history, I'd look at this, and I think it's got some good stuff. I have finished another book novel that I think is really, really worth doing. I think I will experiment maybe perhaps later on today with doing one out in the garden if the wind dies down a little bit. But for now, that's me. Thanks for your kind attention. Good luck with your own TBRPs. And thanks to everyone who subscribed. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Leave your comments. Tell me what you like and don't like. I'm going to try and, I'm not promising anything like a studio or vast expense paying on this, but I am conscious that if I'm going to be, making this any sort of even semi-serious booktube or even a book talk, perhaps I need to be upping my game a little bit. But my model is discursive. My model is people interested in the topic who don't do 20-second reviews, who talk about the books and their feelings about it. And I think that's a really good model, and that's the one I want to pursue. So, okay, my friends, I'll I'll stop there. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.